beautiful morning for what's supposed to be a pretty bleak and rainy day. This week on Cornucopia Orchards, floors, gables, ridge beam, and piggies. Oh my. Took a little break in the weather this morning to kind of get the pigs that we are keeping through the winter situated.
Now, Dad, do you want to get the nail gun or you got it? There's a slight breeze. Don't drop my wall, please.
Hi, I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Casey.
Welcome to our farmstead, Cornucopia Orchards. Oh, poor horse. You're punishing me, I know it.
Right. Alright, get up.
But it's mine.
Right, I made it. It's like Daddy and making his house. Oh,
But
okay.
it's mine.
Right.
Oh, hi. Alright, I did the outside for you.
Now we need
Okay.
Right onto the edge here. And then we're just going to try and control it somewhat. We're good to put in fasteners.
Okay.
We'll work on some more nailing.
Yep. True.
The ability to keep workers moving from task to task smoothly is a requisite for a leader. Every boss I ever admired in retail had dirty hands when it came to this. They didn't just assign tasks, they also removed obstacles and took on small jobs to lighten the load. I honed this skill over a decade, and it comes in handy when you're wearing both the hat of the lead worker and the project manager. Same thing, whoop, bop, doop. Ready for the whoop, bop, doop? Whoop,
Yeah. Do you want me to
bop.
climb over here and kind of push it? I don't know that you need to climb over there.
I'm good.
Okay.
Doop. Wow. Little moment of sunshine. Today is expected to be clouds and rain and clouds and rain and clouds and rain and thunder and lightning. And we've already got a fair amount of water that's just come down through the floors with the downpour system in the house. I like the theory of having the water pass down through the floors to help prevent the floors from taking damage, but honestly, I'd rather, you know, that it didn't. So got with me a tarp. This is a 30 by 30, which will cover almost the entirety of the top of the attic floor. And rain is expected for the next basically 2 weeks, but not all the days have a heavy chance. So we're hoping that we'll get a little bit of a clearing where we'll have a day or two where we can do the sheathing. But once it's back to the weekdays, I will definitely be doing all of the wall building and everything, whether it's raining or not. So this is kind of what it looks like inside. This area has no floor or roof above it at all. And I'm gonna go ahead and drill some holes because it's kind of running water in. And that will help just get that water to go through and down as it falls in there versus kind of coming all the way into the building. These are all from water that's dripping down from above with the downpour, I guess, passing the water through. And while nothing is being damaged right now, if we have a bunch of weeks of this before I can get that roof on, even with a 200-day no sand guarantee, I'd just rather we not deal with it at all. So this is what I was able to do yesterday with the tarps that I had. Obviously didn't cover the whole roof, and some fairly big ponding. And the ponding part, I'm not gonna be able to do anything really about that. But if I tarp the whole roof, then it should just be you know, water that's coming off the sides through the windows. So we've got the entire roof tarped, except for a strip on this end, the upper end. And that end is done. I had 2 extra pieces, a 30 by 30, and the structure needs a little bit more than that, basically 32 by 28. Oddly enough, 30 by 30 seems to end up more or less an inch or 2 off of each of the sides. And I certainly didn't pull this tight, but I don't think you're gonna get an extra 2 feet out of this tarp, so that's perplexing. Took a little break in the weather this morning to kind of get the pigs that we are keeping through the winter situated. So last year we had them up in that, basically it's a dog kennel. And we have 3 sheets that can act as roofing, but it didn't really give them much protection on the sides. And so the boar is up in there, and the little girl, the moms, the sows are all gonna be in here for the winter. So let me show you what we did here. So we had 1 bad sheet of zip that had ground contact at the bottom of the stack from the spring through the summer. No intention of leaving that long, but you guys know the story on that. So we had some scraps, and then the concrete guy left some 1-inch scraps as well. All these are pallets from deliveries that we'd had, and we just tied them together with stickers that are on deliveries that don't have pallets, and then just screws throughout the whole thing. It is more than sturdy enough to keep them in, and all it needs to be, since we're leaving them out on this pasture, since it's not pasture yet, we definitely failed to achieve our goals on that one for this year, but you know, it happens, and we'll get it next year. So this is gonna get some straw in it, and we might do some wood chip and or straw, just depends, but straw probably. And it's a nice slope, and then the roof is a nice slope, so it should keep the water off of them, get them to where we can keep them dry. It gets exceptionally cold. We can take a little heat lamp right here and point it inwards, and they'll kind of be able to look through and keep the little piggies company as they're growing up in their winter situation. So that just leaves our boar, and we took the extra 2 roof sheets and gave him an enclosure right through that area. So we have a semi-nice day here on the weekend, and my mom's watching the boys, and we are working to figure out our gable end walls. We're gonna kind of pre-place them and then take them upstairs and assemble them up top since it's pretty windy. And this is our cut station down here. That way, if it's gonna rain tomorrow, I don't have to lug all the stuff back up and down as far as the cuts go. We're gonna cut in the middle of the gable wall, just in between the 2 pony wall beams, and stand that, and then we'll stand a triangle off of each of the sides. So you can see we've already kind of started to figure our outside boards and angles. And
this is kind of what it looks like. So obviously this is where the pony wall is going to be, and we're going to have a triangle that's going to come down separate from this one because of that pony wall sticking up through the floor. And then same on the other side. And then this one we're going to stand by itself. We've got a little slot for our ridge beam to go into. So these are going to be trimmers for a 3-window header. And as the monkey that I am, I'm going to measure once, cut 6 times, hopefully in a good way. And all I just did was, these are all stud height, just butted the edge there to make them nice and flat together, and then ran my line. And now I can just cut these all at the same height, minus the fact that your factory edge is going to have some irregularities to it. You can see like this guy is a little bit different on his angle. Mixed success on tarping off the structure. It did an okay job of keeping things dry, but man, we had some wind to go with our rain. And I had like multiple boards trying to pin that tarp down on that side. And unfortunately it dried out, and then it wind, and then it went for the rain. And so we did get some peel back all the way to this beam. And the edge along that beam was fairly leaky, so we had some rain come down through that side. But overall, quite a bit of water on here, and I'm sure a lot that went off. So I'm going to get this untarped. Basically, I'm going to just kind of peel it and try and get the water to go off the side and to that end where I can. And then I'm going to try and kind of peel it this way to go work around. You can see the indentation of the one gable wall that we've already got constructed, minus the sheathing. So I'll be the first to admit that with this wall behind here, angle cuts are something that in the past I have struggled with, and I'm hoping I get them right this time. Just always taking things a little bit too quickly and not making sure that I had everything set correctly and ready to go. So with this wall behind me, I obviously have all the way to here, and I worked at it, I focused on it. When I'm doing something new like that, then I know I can replicate a second time. It takes a lot more time for me, like hours more, to try and film it and have that, you know, both of those sides of my brain working. So we're this far on this one. There's another one to go, and I'll show you more of the process on this one. But one of the things I wanted to mention right now is that instead of trying to get the measure of one of these Gable support boards that we have there, one of the studs, it's got an angle cut at the top. So how do you figure what your height of the stud is? Instead of trying to figure out mathematically, and wherever I can, I try and work this way as well, just figure it out manually. And what I mean by that is, so we're going to just put a cut on this 2x6 right here at the right angle, and then I'm going to walk it over to the wall where it's going to go, and I will place it just barely on the lip, slightly down from where it's supposed to go, down the slope. And then I'll go and mark the far side, and what that will give me is a cut that is very, very close to being right on that on center. Now we're good to go. I'll get these cut and finish out this wall. 3 windows are ready to go in. We are going to put an outrigger on, just build it on the side there. The windows and outrigger, we're going to wait and see how heavy it is for us to lift before we put it in the windows, because it'll be my brother, my dad, and I, and we're going to check on that tomorrow. And then if it looks like we're good, then I'll slap the windows on real quick. All right, so here's the second gable in progress. We started essentially with just getting this distance and then doing all the math that we needed to figure out what height this leg is in order for it to continue downwards. Basically, this is a rafter replacement. We'll slap a rafter on the inside, but it's gonna be at the same slope as the rafter here and then the rest of the way down. So the other little trick that we are keeping in mind is that our calculations do have a ridge rafter. It's 1 7/8, odd size, but that's what it is. And it's gonna basically, we're running it to where the rafters butt it, as you would, which means that these two, as a rafter, essentially,
they have to have that same space at the top. So you have to account for that when you figure in your calculations what your run is, and then use your slope. So we did that this time a little better than the first one. First one we had to finesse and do some recuts because we'd failed to do that. And then we're building it kind of inside out, so to speak. So we have our attachments for the up to the peak, and then we built our window overall box. Then we're going to run our top plate just to kind of join that in to the two sides. So our goal for the day is just to get our two gables stood, and we're going to find out whether we can stand them up with windows in or windows out. So we're almost finished here with framing on this gable wall end. I just wanted to look at a few details with you. So we have a 1 7/8 inch ridge beam, and that's what this structure is for here. And we've built an exact height needed saddle, and that's going to sit sandwiched inside of these two 2x6s. And then when we put that ridge beam in, it's just going to slot in at the right height. And we are running a ridge vent for our metal roof. So I'm dropping down about 1.5 inches or a little bit more. And that is allowing me to have the sheeting have clearance of a little bit more than 1 inch from the ridge rafter at all the points in between the ridge beam and all the points in between the rafters. So that will give me ventilation, and that's why you can see we've marked off here where we're going to hit with these guys, and then the ridge beam is going to sit in this pocket up to about there. All right, so second gable is constructed. We're gonna have to slide it into position, and then we'll toenail what we can toenail. I definitely put that sheet on a little too soon. We should still have plenty of toenail capability. I may pop that sheet off or cut a little bit out just to throw in 1 or 2 more. I don't know, probably not. But this one's about ready. I don't think we're gonna put the windows in. It may or may not be that we could actually lift it. I'm not necessarily questioning that. I'm questioning whether I should, just from the standpoint of getting the window truly plumbed once we put it into the opening. That I'm not confident of. So right now we are building the outriggers, which is 2 feet of overhang, and we are including the sheathing in that. So essentially this is a kind of a rafter replacement as far as position goes. So, and then it's going to measure into the house. So we're putting the outside rafters out a total of 2 feet once you include the 2x6 that goes on the outside, the 2x6 that goes on the inside, and then the plans showed that with additionally with the fascia, 2x8 fascia going on top of that. So we included it for all of that, and this is the size we got on there. So we're going to go ahead and make an attempt to lift and control and put into position. Ben said we're going to drop it over the side, so I'm betting that
1 out of 3 ain't half bad.
that is.
Ready?
Yep.
Why you let this get all wet? right here. Can you, Jeremy, if Dad can hold it, can you get a board and like prop it maybe onto the floor so I can maybe crouch down and grab underneath?
I have short
Well, prop it.
on the side. That should work.
Yeah, I think so. Because I can't hold and heave at the same time.
Put a little down under there.
And no one can heave from the center. Disastrous.
Oh no.
Oh no. That's great. That works.
You sure?
Perfect. Okay. Step on it. Where is it? I don't know. What's it?
Oh, that got it. Yeah.
Yellow jacket hunting.
Number 9.
So this is how we're doing this. Up through here.
Holding it in. I mean, we can still try it if you want to.
So originally with this beam, the plan was that we were going to take the outside wings all the way out to the end of the overhang, and that's not a thing we're doing because these are very high. 12'6" turns out 12'6" is a ways up there, especially on top of 30 something. So we're gonna lop it at exact for the building width of 32 feet, and then what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna let in a little bit at the top within the structure of the wall to have a 2x6 that's locked in as well going out. That should provide everything that I was looking for as far as, you know, additional stability for the ladders on the outside of the walls.
Okay, so measuring twice, cutting once. Take one. Please God, don't smile upon my enemies today. Oh, that smells like Fruity Pebbles.
So we're all stabilized out here, and we have our ridge beam ready to go, cut to length. We're going to take one person hold ladder, one person Ben, obviously, because Ben walks up, pops it in a little bit too much, comes down. I'll be stabilizing in theory, and then Dad can hold ladder, and then we're going to switch this ladder over to this side, and then I'll take this ladder and then just try and hold it in place up into the saddle we've created there, and then Ben will walk it up this ladder. Hopefully nobody drops anything, nobody dies, and the notch goes up.
Oh, thank you.
Just making sure we're all on the same page here.
Have to walk it. I
Oh,
gotta
no,
walk
we're
it
gonna.
that way.
I'm gonna shove it up and through a bit, so we
Okay.
will be able to walk it all the way straight up.
Okay.
So you don't have to swing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, there's a whole big old fat void here for Jeremy assistance.
That's what your mom was saying.
The void or the assistance?
Yes. Okay. That should be out far enough.
There we go.
You ready over there? No problem.
Slide, because I've got a very tenuous hold.
Yeah, I know. Hold your ladder.
There we go. Ben. Okay, going up. Hey, we need to go my way if you can.
I can't.
Okay. Okay.
There is like 2 inches. Okay, that's about what we'd expect for this inch and 3/4.
Yeah, that's probably a good number too.
Alright, I'm gonna nail it in on this side just as much as I can.
Yep.
And then we'll come and we'll pull that wall in. This wall already shows maybe just the tiniest hair leaned in, so it's this one if we got anything. The bricks is detached. Oh, don't pull the ladder.
Do not stand above this step. What I still have, like, just a half an inch. That's it. There you go. We're done. Yeah.
What do you know?
You know, we're not gonna book, you know.
Nope.
Now we can.
So think it over, let me know. Not in the book, you know. It's back in, yeah. So that's tied. I'd like. Did we end up with any of those? Did we end up using all those big SWS screws, Dad? Do you remember?
There's 2 left.
There's 2 of them?
2 gigantic ones.
Oh, the big ones.
Yeah.
That's overkill.
Will you even catch with the actual screws on that long one?
Barely. I mean, if it goes through, I can put it through a pretty substantial angle.
You barely sleep.
Like this. Yeah, there you go. Hi, pretty thing.
How did you get that up there?
We went.
Strong one.
Thanks for watching.
See you next time.